The Star Wars elite were people that had the ability to influence major political events across the entire galaxy. With this influence, however, naturally came groups and factions that fervently disagreed with what these powerful political figures advocated, and would stop at nothing to shut them down by whatever means necessary. This is where elite guards came in. These guards essentially existed to lay down their lives for a supposed greater cause, and would protect these elite no matter what the cost. From an early age, these guards were thoroughly trained and essentially had to be prepared for any possible deadly encounter that might come their way. With that said, in today's video we will be comparing two of Star Wars' most elite guard, the Senate Commando and the Journeyman Protector, also known as the Mandalorian Guard. Unlike my Clone Commando vs ARC Trooper video, I will simply be stating all the facts and will let you all come to your own conclusion. Don't forget to tell me in the comments who you think the better faction was, as well as voting in the straw poll, all links in the description below. Due to the Senate Commandos being comprised of birth-born human volunteers, they developed a close rivalry with their counterparts, the Clone Commandos. In saying this, both of these elite Republic divisions had very similar training. In order to qualify to be a Senate Commando, one had to pass 4 brutal weeks of training, and once this final portion of training was complete, much like the Clone Commandos, Senate Commandos were placed into squads where they reported to an assigned leader. The Journeyman Protectors were an elite ancient Mandalorian faction that by the time the Clone Wars started, were commissioned to protect Duchess Satine from any other Mandalorian extremist factions. With that said, warrior tradition was rife within the Journeyman Protectors, and if you were born into this noble faction, you would essentially be trained for combat all your life. And by the time you were called on by Mandalore to serve, you would already be trained and would only need an induction to the type of armor and weaponry you would be using in order to be ready to fight. Senate Guard armor was, much like Clone Trooper armor, designed to be effective whilst in battle. It bore very similar characteristics to Phase 1 Clone Trooper armor, however unlike the clone armor, it came equipped with an enlarged shoulder pauldron resistant to blaster fire, and was of course painted in the symbolic navy blue that the Senate Guard had come to be known for. For this segment, we will be specifically talking about the armament of the Mandalorian Royal Guard. In order to symbolize the importance of the job, Mandalorian Royal Guards, rather than wearing traditional Mandalorian combat gear, would wear a mix of ceremonial and traditional armor, parts of which were made of durasteel alloy. This was designed to signify their importance as well as provide decent protective coverage. In addition to this, they also had very unique weaponry, coming equipped with a combat staff that, because of Duchess Satine's pacifist policy, would only allow for electrocution, blast deflection, and blunt force in order to subdue enemies, thus making it much harder to kill someone. In my opinion, the Clone Wars TV show was a poor reflection of what the Senate Guard were actually capable of. In the few scenes that we did get a glimpse of them, it was either them being utterly decimated by an organized group of bounty hunters, or their captain betraying the Republic and killing his own men. With that said, throughout the Clone Wars, the Senate Commando seemed like more of an intimidation tool rather than an elite Republic combat force. The Journeyman Protectors, and more specifically the Mandalorian Royal Guard on the other hand, were shown throughout the Clone Wars as a force not to be reckoned with. Due to them not being allowed to use lethal long-distance weaponry, the Guard had to adapt and become immensely skilled with their battle staffs. Combine this with their natural affinity for combat, agility, and honor whilst in battle, the Mandalorian Guard were in some cases able to emulate the Jedi with their raw skill, and would never fail to strike fear into the hearts of enemies. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to tell me in the comments and cast your vote on the straw poll for which faction you thought was best. Join us on Instagram and Discord to connect with other Star Wars fans and join our growing community.